Rick, first of all, perhaps you could introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background as to how Nurokor started and your own personal background. How did you get into this line of business?
I was a 30 plus, it's probably going on 35 plus years, pain sufferer. All my life I had lower back pain issues. And through accidental discovery, I found bioelectronics, which gave me some relief like I'd never had before, and other times did not work at all. So that started the research in wanting to understand why that was. And I shared this device at the time with other family members and friends, and they had similar results. In any case, fast forward, it became apparent that it was actually the parameters themselves which were underdeveloped, under-researched, that were producing the results. So I saw an opportunity there for a global solution to, first it was pain, and then looking further and understanding the body is all electrical, that there are many other healthcare or health case uses for bioelectronics as a technology.
And maybe explain a little bit of background to the whole concept, the product concept. This isn't new technology, but what you're doing is essentially applying value add on top of existing technology. Perhaps explain what secret sauce, in effect, you bring to the party.
So you're right, and as a matter of fact, in early times, Caesar's doctor, for instance, was using electric eels for treating things like migraines and pain. We've obviously come a long way since using electric eels, but that was on the nerve stimulatory side. And then there is other modalities such as the neuromuscular side, and then our particular special source is in the area of microcurrent. So again, understanding that the body itself is all electrical. As a matter of fact, if you haven't got electricity, we wouldn't be speaking right now. But things like the parameters, for instance, for treating inflammation or particular types of inflammation or other physiological effects are based on formula and frequency and current specifics, so parameter specifics. So aside from the early days of or the humble TENS machine, which is for all its
used a lot obviously by pregnant women, to ease pain during pregnancy.
Yes, I mean, even the humble TENS machine does not get the credibility it deserves, particularly as there's so many copy products, if you like, or cheap manufactured products that are parading as devices. But those, for instance, are not developed with any specific parameters. They're literally a set of stimuli that are a little bit hit and miss, but nonetheless, they do work, or they at least work some of the time. So it's about understanding the parameter development, which is where Nurokor's expertise, and in particular myself, where that expertise comes from years and years of both research and practical application. But that's just on that nerve side. When you start to look at the body as a whole, so the body is not just a nerve, not just nerves, but it's also neuromuscular as well as tissue. And electrical parameters can be developed for literally almost limitless applications.
Yeah, and of course, the nerve system of the human body is a transmission network for electrical stimuli, isn't it? So it would seem obvious that we have undertapped this area of therapeutics, really, in helping the body help itself, in effect.
Yes, and if you do start to look into it a little bit further, I mean, there is technology being developed for specific uses, even things like eyesight. So degenerative sight problems, gingivitis with regards to gum disease. These are microcurrent parameters that are being developed for these specifics. So we don't just focus on one modality. We look at the scope of the body a little bit like a drug company would look at how its pharmaceuticals can be applied to the various needs and healthcare needs. We look at bioelectronics in the same way. We look at what parameters and formula we can develop for these specific needs through bioelectronics.
So you're very much a platform company then, looking at specific areas of therapy where the technology can be applied, which brings us neatly on to the fact that where you are now is as a result of quite a lot of research and development work that looked at specific use cases. Could you give us a little bit more sense of your kind of history, where you've come from, and how the product and solution set has evolved over the last few years?
Sure. So when we launched, we had a needs basis, and that was something to generate revenue. So we developed an MVP, or minimum viable product, as a prototype that we could sell into market, particularly as direct to consumer or through distributors, partners in other territories. So we developed this product for two things. One, to show that we knew how to formulate, so our technology parameters worked. The other was that there was a market fit for it, so a needs basis. So back then it was a little bit about understanding that will people buy it? Will people use it? Will it be effective? Will other people be interested in distributing it, or the technology itself? All of those boxes have been ticked, and that MVP, or prototype product, has gone a lot further than it was ever designed to do. It's ended up in clinical use, it's ended up in professional sport use, and it continues to grow by way of distribution, but that was never the intention for that. It's just organically ended up that way.
Yeah, so in effect, by developing various use cases for the product and applications for the product, in effect, you've created a community really of market testers, if you like, in the clinical community, but also potentially in a community of OEM partners that potentially you could work with as well.
Absolutely. So one example of that was we were approached through the US market to develop a spin out of our existing product for RX, for prescription and reimbursement use. That product has launched, and it's already starting to find its way through particular distributors for the veterinary affairs hospitals, or VA hospitals, with great success. But again, it is a bit of a compromise because it still is the prototype product. It's not the real technology. It's the early generation.
So obviously, you're looking at a market where there are unmet health needs. Where potentially your product and solutions could tap into a market opportunity. Could you perhaps outline those unmet health needs that you could address?
Well, the biggest one for which we, from an efficacy perspective, are having a huge impact is in the pain sector. The pain sector is, well, it's hard to measure the market, but it's one of the globe's largest markets. So we are fundamentally already changing community pharmacy practice with pain clinics in store as an additional service for those pharmacies. Now, pharmacies are usually, you would think, the standard go-to for pharmaceutical interventions for pain management, but even the pharmacy owners themselves, or the pharmacy businesses themselves, understand the limitations of pharmaceuticals in respect of pain. So two things: most medications are designed to be for chronic, so designed to be temporary, not long-term. Where bioelectronics is both non-invasive with little to, we can't say no side effect, but essentially no side effect. And there is no indication of any negative for long-term use. Adding to that, what we do see anecdotally is that people end up reducing, such as myself, the need for medication altogether. So it's a huge positive impact for health.
Yeah, and obviously it's therapeutic as well. So it doesn't just address the chronic pain management, for example, but also contributes to faster healing and recovery.
It does. And if you look at certain subsets, for instance, like arthritis, most arthritis sufferers just accept that there is no cure, that there is only long-term management of their disease or condition. But we have been able to have a very positive impact, for instance, for arthritis sufferers, or things that are deemed to be very low success, such as diabetic neuropathy, or pain from diabetes. The animal market, we originally anticipated we would go into for two reasons. One was lower regulatory challenges, so faster to market. Two, it allowed us to show what we could do within the microcurrent technology side. So we developed quite quickly a equine solution that is app-based. It's the only microcurrent app-based therapeutic of its type. At the moment, this has been met with not only great success, but we've had a huge amount of inquiry on it. So one of the things that we want to do with our funding is to scale that opportunity. It's literally only launched a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
And already we've gotten traction North America, Europe, UK, and we want to expand on that. It is non-invasive. It is subsensory, so the animal tolerates it very, very well, and the results have been outstanding.
You've outlined the key verticals, but obviously, you know, these are significant verticals, and they're occupied by pharmaceutical players and so on. And you're trying to usurp the market to some degree in terms of your solutions. But can you give us a sense of the size of the life tech, femtech, and animal health tech opportunities, and
Sure.
and the extent of revenue growth that you'll see from them?
So the global pain management is probably the biggest single one that's both. There's a lot of research and it's easy to identify. 2029, that market is expected globally to be worth over 90 billion US dollars. The femtech market is a burgeoning and growing market. We're only just starting to understand the opportunities within that femtech market. When I say we, I mean the market.
Mm-hmm.
And 2029, that market itself is expected to expand to around or just over 9 billion US dollars as a market. I think that's also too a little bit understated, because again, that the sectors for which that covers is not well understood, and it's only starting to show itself now. The animal health market is not a small market, but it's the smaller of the three, if you like. In 2030, that's expected to be around 2.3 billion. Now, in saying all of that, these are specific vertical sectors and market sectors. But then, of course, taking into account that our product is a digital product, that the hardware or the therapeutics are just the enabler, and that it fits within the larger wearables or digital wearables market, which is 400 billion by 2030. So from a revenue perspective, really, I think the market itself, particularly as we are creating some new markets within sectors, I think that I wouldn't like to put a cap on it, but certainly the opportunity is quite incredible, particularly once adoption starts to take place by way of digital and bioelectronics as a healthcare solution. McKinsey et al. have said that bioelectronics is going to be the next phase of healthcare, and we completely believe that.
And it's tapping into the zeitgeist as well, isn't it? Because obviously there's a lot of concern around, the use of pain management pharmaceuticals, and particularly people getting essentially addicted to prescription drugs, particularly in the United States. So there does seem to be a growing awareness and interest in this, these sort of non-invasive approaches to such areas as pain management, where patients can essentially define their own management regimens, and manage their own healthcare in effect.
Absolutely, there is. And the beauty of bioelectronics is because it is essentially a digital solution. It fits into wearables, it fits into remote consultation, it fits into diagnostics and real-time biosensor or closed-loop feedback. It fits into the personalization side or hyper-personalization of medicine, as well as the use of data science such as AI for optimizing that for the individual. So literally, it is, as you say, it fits directly into the zeitgeist, and particularly the direction that healthcare in general, as well as the wellness market, is taking.
So obviously you're raising a new round in order to fund your R&D and product rollout. And obviously your network, we touched a little bit earlier about the kind of community of interest that you've been developing over the last few years, but to be able to turn that into a distribution network and potentially a number of OEM partnerships as well, you do need funding. But can you tell me a little bit more about your team and kind of collectively how you got together and what your ambitions are and where the particular areas of expertise are within the team?
That, I think, is probably one of our major strengths. So currently the existing team, particularly within the area of expertise of bioelectronics and those specifics, have been attracted. So we've attracted that expertise and that clinical expertise, if you like, because they saw what we were doing. They understood that we were on the leading edge of this, because as you know, there's plenty of past products in the marketplace, but they're a set parameter that have said, right, this works for this, let's go and bring it to market. That's not the way that we work. We develop on the optimization of specific therapeutic applications.
Mm-hmm.
So our team is made up of cell biologists who also worked for a large medical device company for many years in orthopedics. We have our medical director or medical science director has spent 15-20 years in the diabetes, wound and pain management sector using bioelectronics. So again, very unique expertise. And then we've got the passionate team behind the creatives and the early commercial side, who essentially do everything that they do with a passion for the company and what we're trying to achieve by way of improving health globally.
And obviously the company has won lots of awards, and is that revenue, at least in terms of some of the piloting and so on that you've been doing with the market and that community that we mentioned. Can you just give us a quick overview of the slides up on the screen, but a quick overview of the kind of awards that you've received?
So we've won too many awards, Jeff, is probably the thing. So we did win the Health Digital Tech Awards. So that was having healthcare impact. This was a UK-based award, but it was global applications. Mm-hmm. National Startup Awards. We've won 2 sectors within that for best recovery technology. We've won the Women's Running Magazine, for instance, recovery technology. We've won a Femavate sponsorship. So a company out of Texas called Guidea, we've won a $50,000 USD grant there for them to help us develop, particularly the early stages to building our community for the Femtech product or Femtech technology. The New Statesman Awards, where we're competing against the likes of Manchester University, Imperial College. So they were our other award nominees. We didn't win that one, but I thought just being alongside those names was a proud achievement.
Absolutely, and indeed. So just final thoughts, Nurokor, in a few sentences, just sum up the business and your ambitions for the future, if you like.
We are a life sciences bioelectronics company. We develop digital tech as therapeutics, and we believe that this digital tech is the next phase of healthcare. And we're not the only ones that think that. There's been a huge amount of investment in the sector. We are meeting unmet global health needs, and we are fundamentally changing the perception and what's possible with regards to bioelectronics as therapeutics or as a solution for healthcare needs.